A shakeup in state leadership for Wisconsin Democrats, plus the lawsuit just filed against Act 10. CBS 58's Emilee Fannon, WisPolitics editor J.R. Ross discussed that and more on tonight's Capital Connection.
Let's first start with a new lawsuit that was filed on Thursday that seeks to repeal Act 10. That is Wisconsin's very controversial law that effectively ends collective bargaining rights for most state and local workers. Now, this was an issue, JR, that we expected that was going to land in the state Supreme Court after it flipped to liberal control. But they're actually they're starting this challenge in the lower courts in Dane County. But in a sense, we did just see this coming heading into this year.
Yeah, there's a big question the court will ever actually hear at the Supreme Court. Reason why is, remember, during the campaign, liberal Justice Janet Prosewicz said, look, she signed the recall petition against Scott Walker. She might then recuse if an Act 10 challenge came to court. There's no guarantee that court will hear that case. But as it works to the lower courts, the issue is they're saying, look, they created two different classes of employees. There are favored public safety employees and essentially non-favored employees. And the key thing is they're saying that even with those public safety employees, not all public safety workers are covered by or exempt from Act 10. So yes, cops and firefighters exempt, but what about conservation wardens? What about corrections guards? Why are they not in? And the lawsuit alleges that Scott Walker, when he was governor, basically blessed the unions that endorsed him in 2010 and gave them this favored status. Now, that is a violation of Equal Protection Clause. We'll see how that goes, but this is going to take a while to work itself to the court, which is key because the court can only do so much. We have redistricting already. Abortion is going to get there. They don't want to take up everything at one time. That's a lot of stuff.
Right. And it could potentially backfire them come 2025 when we have another state Supreme Court election. We'll get into that in a little bit. But right now, we do have a new Democratic leader of the state Senate. So, Jared, what does this mean for the caucus going forward?
Well, with Diana Hesselbein, she's from the Madison area, which is the power base, right? Madison and Milwaukee for Democrats. She's been a team player. She's worked with Republicans at times on big bills, Brewer Stadium, things like that are getting done. She's part of like that team working on stuff. Also worked with Governor Evers before. Her challenge is going to be raising money. It's a challenge for anybody in leadership position. How do you raise money? She hasn't run statewide before. Something like that. Can she raise the money to help get the caucus rolling? Well, it could be a good year in 2024 with possibly new maps.
And this leadership position could carry even more weight heading into next year if the state Supreme Court enacts new maps, which could essentially give Democrats a chance to become from the minority to the majority. And speaking of the state Supreme Court, looking ahead to 2025, we have our first candidate that has entered the race, and that is former Republican Attorney General Brad Schimel. He made the announcement on Thursday, and it was I would say a little bit early to get in the race, but there's also kind of pros and cons of doing that.
Yeah, so one, he reminds people that he's out there. You know, he was AG until early 2019, and if he lost in 2018, was appointed to the Waukesha Circuit Court by Scott Walker for both loss or re-election bids. It's not a high-profile job. You get in, you come up, hey, I'm over here, don't forget about me. Also, the court is going to take up big issues the next year or so. He can weigh in and say, hey, you know, I disagree with this ruling, or I can talk about this. Also, fundraising. It's going to be tough to raise money in 24 for anybody not running for U.S. Senate, President, Congress. But at least you can kind of run to, hey, I'm here, I'm running, I know you're busy over here, but maybe in December of 24 we talk and give me a boost going to 25. For the pluses, he's run statewide. He's got a statewide donor network. He's lost statewide, though. He's also got knocked in 2018 over things like his lawsuit challenging the Affordable Care Act, things like abortion, backlog of rape test kits at the Department of Justice, crime labs, a donation from Purdue Pharma's PAC. Like those things have come before, they can come up again. And let's not forget with Ann Walsh-Bradley, yes, she has said she's going to run again, but she would be, I think, 75 right before she'd be sworn in for the term. We still got a ways to go. So she said she's going to run, but some people are kind of waiting, okay, let's hear her actually pull the trigger and get in. If she does, she's formidable. I mean, only 2 justices have lost an election, incumbent justices, the last 50 years. Daniel Kelly in 2020, Lewis Butler in 2008. She'd be a formidable challenge for Schimel. And there's a question, will anybody else get in? Marie Lazar, appeals court judge in Waukesha, she's talked about possibly running. Schimel wants an open lane to go after Ann Walsh-Bradley to avoid spending money between now and 2025.
All right, that will do it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us.